Miss you, miss you. I've listened to Tickets to My Downfall 666 times. Maybe it's time I find some new pop punk artists.
Hi, I'm Evan, and if you need more pop punk, I got your back. So a few months ago, I did a video on 7 upcoming artists in the alternative, emo, pop punk space, and people seemed to like that one, so I thought I would do another.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
But like half of those artists on that list were pop punk, and pop punk is mostly what I listen to these days, so I figured I might as well just make this a pop punk list. So obviously there are tons of artists that I could have put on this list. These are just 7 that I like right now and that I haven't really talked about yet. So if I didn't mention your new favorite band, just put their name in the comments and tell me to do a part 2. All right, by the way, I'm gonna go from 7 to 1 in ascending order of how many monthly listeners on Spotify they have, just because I think it's fun.
This next song is a cover by Fall Out Boy. Don't worry, it's one of their old songs.
Kicking this list off at number 7, we got Story Untold, with 176,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. They're a French pop punk band. They started out with a more traditional pop punk sound, but now they have a darker twist on this 2020s pop punk revival sound. So here are some songs to show their evolution. I don't know, I'd say they're kind of like Water Park's younger brother, but like a little bit more emo and a little bit more chill. They got Kellen Quinn on their track, I Love That You Hate Me, which is an absolute banger. You have to check that one out. Story Untold releases music at a pretty quick pace, so I wouldn't be surprised if they have new music in the near future.
For the next album, maybe we should just like get all naked together and just like put that as a cover of the album.
Moving on to number 6, we have Creeper with 183,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. They're a UK band that has been described as gothic rock, horror punk. They have a heavy My Chemical Romance influence, but they also take influence from AFI and even David Bowie a little bit. So here are some of their greatest hits. Creeper has established a cult following called the Creeper Cult, and it makes sense. I mean, both of their albums are really, really good. I especially love their 2020 album, Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void. I mean, the name alone is already enough to tell you that this is going to be amazing, right? But their music is really good, and if you like their darker MCR pop punk style, then you gotta check out Annabelle, Be My End, and Napalm Girls. Those are all really, really great songs. So their debut album, Eternity in Your Arms, debuted at number 18 in the UK, and their second album, Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void, went to number 5. Creeper has just released a new song called Midnight off of their upcoming EP, American Noir, which should be out July 30th.
Number 2 is Pizza, and I realised that we're coming off very pop punk by saying that, but it would have vegan cheese on it, so it'd be like a pretentious pop punk meal.
Moving on to number 5, we got Chad Tepper with 429,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and 1 million YouTube subscribers. Now, Chad Tepper is a YouTuber turned musician. He started doing SoundCloud rap stuff in 2018, but recently he's been doing more pop punk stuff. So here are some of his pop punk songs. He's got some solid hooks. I especially love Lonely Tonight with that neon pop punk feel. He also got Bowling for Soup to feature on a song There For Me, which is pretty dope. Chad Tepper also releases music at a pretty quick pace, so you can probably expect new music from him soon.
What do you think your next crazy stunt's gonna be? Making out with you?
Oh. Chad, this is getting erotic over here.
Next up, at number 4, we got Paleways with 667,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. They're a UK goth pop band turned pop punk. Here are some of their hits from their pop punk album. early stuff kind of reminds me of The Cure, and the more recent stuff reminds me of Avril Lavigne. Obviously, image is very important to their band. I kind of dig their goth punk look, and it's funny because sometimes the drummer and the singer will look super goth, and then the other guys just look like normie indie boys. Pale Waves has opened for The 1975 and Muse. Their debut album, My Mind Makes Noises, went to number 8 in the UK, and their second album, Who Am I, went to number 3.
Each other out.
The best housemate.
No, you're not by far. You're not, you're a messy bitch.
All right, moving on to number 3, we have Stand Atlantic with 890,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Stand Atlantic is an Australian pop punk band with some great music. Here are some of their biggest songs. Stand Atlantic incorporates pop production very tastefully. I feel like when a lot of other pop punk bands try to do that, they kind of like lose the punch of a full band, but Stand Atlantic packs that punch. And their 2020 album, Pink Elephant, is just really solid start to finish. It went to number 23 in Australia. Also, they recently released a single featuring Nothing Nowhere called Death Wish, and that is a really awesome collaboration. Lead vocalist Bonnie Fraser said that they have a lot of songs written for their next album, but they're still in the writing process. But who knows? Maybe they'll release a new single in the coming months.
There's a Twitter account I've noticed.
Oh no! Oh no! There's a few.
Actually,
what the fuck is that about? Yeah, it's the Hand Atlantic.
And up next, at number 2, we got Point North with 1.1 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Point North is one of the hottest new bands in the scene. They're primarily a pop punk band, but they've got influences from post-hardcore and hip-hop. Here are some of their biggest songs. I love the variety of sound here. They've got darker, spookier songs like Ghosts in My Home, but they also got brighter summer bangers like Nice Now. Also, the singer just has a really cool voice. Point North also got Kellen Quinn on a track, Into the Dark, and that is like their biggest song. And Point North has even collabed with EDM DJ Keizo. Point North dropped their single Nice Now in mid-May. It might be part of a new album, I don't know. There hasn't been any announcement on that yet, but I'm expecting something from them soon.
Trey Cool, and after the set, he comes up to me, he's like, hey, that was great, and he starts like helping me tear down my gear. Oh wow. And I started like basically like trying not to cry.
And at number 1, we have none other than Lil Huddy with 1.6 million monthly listeners on Spotify, 2.2 million subscribers on YouTube, and 31 million followers on TikTok. Lil Huddy is a TikToker gone pop punk, much like Jaden, but I think Lil Huddy leans a little bit more punk than Jaden does. Here are his only songs so far. As you can see, his hooks are super catchy, and he has great vocal delivery and musical style. Lil Huddy is the most well-known e-boy, one of the people to popularize that fashion. He co-founded Hype House, a team of successful TikTokers. He starred in Downfall's High, Machine Gun Kelly's music video movie thing.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Dead.
And his song 21st Century Vampire went to 25 on the US alt radio chart. Lil Huddy said in an interview that he is planning an album release for the summer, but there hasn't been any official announcements yet, so we'll just have to wait. But he should probably be telling us pretty soon. Summer is approaching.
Isn't that what people do? I saw that on TikTok, man. You're like,
Oh,
what?
he's watching mine.
So these are 7 of the best new pop punk artists. All of these artists have at least one song on my playlist, The Future is Emo, so check that out in the description below if you're interested. If you would like a part 2, let me know. I already have 4 artists that I know I want to talk about, but I would love to hear some more recommendations, so leave those in the comments. And if you found any new artists to get into, then leave this video a like. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest in pop punk and alternative music, then make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon. That's all for today. So long and good night.
Pop punk vocal training session. The Misfits? I think the Misfits are trying to rip off Green Day, like spread anarchy.